What is up, everyone? Today we are going to break down the Super Bowl DraftKings slate from a DFS perspective. And we have our third guest of the channel, a good friend of mine, Alex Bauer. Bauer, what are your opening thoughts on this slate? Any big picture ideas? Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, thanks so much for the introduction, and it's a huge honor to be on the show. I've been a student of PK for a long time in DFS, so finally really appreciate the opportunity to give some of my own takes on the platform. So thanks for having me on the show. In terms of off the bat, some takes I have for the Super Bowl, I would say big fan of Smith for sure. Has had some frustrating games for sure lately. But looking at some of the upside potential here, I think he's someone who can win the whole thing and is has the potential to be very underplayed. So I think Smith, if you only get one piece of advice from me, it's play Devonta Smith.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. He's going to be 8% captain, I imagine, somewhere probably a little bit less than that. And the thing is, we know he has the upside to get there. We've seen the last 2 weeks of the season, I believe, 31 points, 33 points, and he hasn't gotten there in a few weeks, right? Like that's the concern. That's why people aren't playing him. But we know that he has that type of ceiling to win the whole slate. And I guess in a vacuum, the question is he the optimal captain more than 8% of the time on a slate like this? And I think the answer is yes. Now, will he end up getting the 6 points on the actual day? Yeah, who knows? I mean, again, who knows? But
Yeah.
I think we have to play it uh, just to capture that potential upside at extremely low ownership. A couple other captains to talk about. The chalk is fairly obvious here. We have Barkley and Mahomes are going to be the two highest owned captains, I imagine, approaching 20% each. One thing I'm considering is being under on Barkley at the captain spot. So we know he has the upside. He seems to do it every game, and it's a scary thing to fade. But just thinking about the Super Bowl, the casual audience, what are they going to put in captain? I imagine Barkley is one of their first options. So I think you might see some extra steam on him, and I'm more than willing to pivot to Hurts, Holmes, and he'll be at probably half of the ownership of those two. And then moving down to Brown and Kelsey, those guys are always live. I guess Brown again in the Eagles' offense, they're very run heavy. So who do you like more? I guess out of Brown or Devontae, if you're going to take a shot on an Eagles pass catcher in a run heavy offense, would you rather just go all the way down to get Devontae Smith at extremely low ownership, or is Brown still viable?
Yeah, I mean, Brown, I think, is tied for most targets on the Eagles offense. So, I mean, has certainly seen the volume there. I mean, I think we're going to be seeing a lot of square activity. I think people are going to be gravitating towards like be influenced by recent playoff performance. We're going to see high ownership there. I really just love the Smith variable upside opportunity. I mean, if you're playing a big pool like the Millie Maker, I think you got to go with someone like Smith.
Yeah, I think that's an important distinction too. Is that you probably don't play Smith in single entry. It's
Yeah.
an MME play. It's a high risk contest play. Um, and then for single, I guess we can move on to a bit of small field talk, which is kind of my game plan for the Super Bowl. I'm going to play mostly smaller field, higher buy-in stuff. A guy that I love is Hollywood Brown. Listen, he's as soon as he's been in this offense, he just gets a bigger and bigger role each week. It seems like he's out there all the time. And listen, he hasn't gotten the receptions, the yards to really make a stamp, but all he needs is that game to have a touchdown with 5 receptions, 50 yards. He's providing value for you in the captain spot, especially in small field, if not large field as well. What do you think for smaller field? Are there any lower priced captains like the Dallas Goederts, Hollywood Browns? What are your thoughts on the captains for that type of dynamic?
Yeah, I think my only struggle with some of the Chiefs receivers is just how strong the Eagles secondary have been this year. So they're allowing the fewest total yards, fewest passing yards, fewest pass yards per attempt. So I don't know. I maybe struggle to have some of the confidence on the Brown or Worthy. I would say I think Dallas Goedert has really strong potential. He's got the second most points out of all the tight ends in the playoffs this season. So I think he's for sure seeing the target share as well. So I like Dallas Goedert for sure.
Yeah, and the matchup is really good. I believe the Chiefs are one of the worst defenses to tight ends specifically. I don't think I will get to Goddard captain. I think that he'll be a flex play, and I'll have a lot of
Yeah.
him in there. But I don't imagine he'll be in many of my captains.
Yeah.
The other guy we've kind of brushed over is Travis Kelce. And listen, I think we saw the dud game from him last week or 2 weeks ago. 2 receptions, 19 yards, no touchdown. Almost every other playoff game in the last, I don't even know how many years, he's just putting up monster scores. I mean, monster usage, receptions, touchdowns, yards, all of it. And I think they go right back to him in the Super Bowl. I'm not too worried about it. The question is, do I want him in flex versus captain? I would say I prefer him in the flex. What about you?
Yeah, I think it's a tough one because people are definitely going to be gravitating to the brand name here. I think, and also obviously, future Hall of Fame tight end. I think what makes it maybe a little bit more appealing is the injury of Nakobe Dean. The Kelce has historically performed really, really well with the substitution Burks as the primary defender. So I think there's really good matchup potential for Kelce at the linebacker position. I think you could also get a little bit interesting too and go with a Noah Gray as a result if you're trying to play that tight end position, but maybe trying to stay away from a more popular Kelce. But personally, I'm a fan of Kelce this week, and I would certainly give some shots with him at captain.
Yeah, the problem with Noah Gray for me is that we've seen the usage has been there in the regular season, but when it gets to the playoffs, when it gets to the Chiefs, I don't see them going to Noah Gray in a big game like this over a Travis Kelce. Now, can it happen? Absolutely, but I think that's just one where I disagree with you though. I don't imagine myself having any Noah Gray. I think it's the play that will look sharp on paper, but ultimately not pan out. I guess going down to this Noah Gray region, these, I like to call like the scrubs of DFS, the Juju Smiths, the Jahan Dotson, Perrine, Calcaterra, all these guys. Out of these scrubs, who are your favorite punts here in this region?
That's a really good question. I don't know. I think P. Ryan also has that kind of volatility upside. What are your thoughts on him?
If you have the Chiefs are down or the Chiefs just need a score in the final 2 minutes of a half or the game, he's the guy that's going to be catching passes most likely. And we know DraftKings PPR scoring, that can add up quick, especially at only 1,800. You get a 3 reception, 30 yards from him, that could be enough. So he's definitely in play for me. The other guy that I like, and this is a complete flyer, complete tournament play, is Dotson. When we talk about the Eagles, right, their offense is very simple. It's Goddard, Barkley, Brown, Smith, and Dotson. And that's really it. And obviously Hurts, but I mean, and that's really it. They don't really go to anyone else. Dotson, he hasn't gotten the work, but he's out there. He's running routes. He's running long routes. You get 1 reception from him. Even if you get a TD somehow, he's definitely making it, in my opinion. So 2,400, Dotson will definitely be in a couple of my flex spots. Definitely not going to captain any scrubs for this game. The other guy I kind of see picking up steam as what I like to call like the hipster play of the week, Juju Smith. Again, I don't know about it. I don't love playing a scrub when they're getting talked about a lot and they're going to be popular. I want it to be overlooked. I feel like maybe a bit overowned this week, so I'm not sure about him. Justin Watson, perfectly fine in my book. Super cheap, 900. Or actually, this is captain. Flex, he will be 600, I think it was. Yeah, 600. So I actually probably prefer Pirine. I mean, I definitely prefer Pirine over Watson,
Mm,
but maybe prefer Watson over Juju just for ownership purposes.
mm. How do you
Um,
feel? How do you feel about defense special teams this week? Are you going to lay any low scoring uh, game outcomes?
that's a good point. I was completely going over that. Defense and kickers. I always think that, I mean, you're probably supposed to play them in a Super Bowl. Once again, thinking to the casual audience, the person building a lineup, they don't want to click defense. They don't want to click kicker. So
Right.
I think we absolutely have to prioritize Elliott and Butker. I have really no opinion between the kickers or the defenses. I guess I would prefer the Eagles if I had to choose, but I really don't care. I guess overall, if I come in overweight on kickers or defense, I won't change it, but it might not be something I go out of my way to get to.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. So let your political leanings between Elliott and Butker guide the way.
Yep, exactly. I guess. Do you have any other final thoughts? If not, we can wrap it up here.
No, I really appreciate the time. So glad you got to have some more square representation on your show. So it was a great time, and yeah, best of luck to all the viewers.
Yep. Thank you for coming on. Best of luck to
Cool.
everyone. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.
Yeah, see you guys.